So, student, as we are started our second chapter, that is King, Farmers and Town. So, in our last class, we have discussed regarding an early empire, administrative system out there, and new notion of kingships and divine king. So now in our today class we will discuss regarding the changing country size, that is in that we will discuss regarding and perceptions of king and strategy for increasing agriculture productions, and that how it led to the difference in rural society, and regarding the land grant we will discuss in our today class. So now let us start our class. So now today we will discuss on the topic a changing countryside. Under this topic we will discuss a popular perception of king, strategy for increasing production, difference in rural society, and lastly land grants and new ruler elites. So our first topic, that is a popular perception of king. Out here the word perception was derived from the word perceive, which means to see. So in this topic we will see how are the king been seen at that time by the people. So already in inscriptions and prasasti where we have seen that what type of tax was being collected by the king, what type of law exists, or what was the opinion of the king, that was been engraved in the inscription. However, with respect to the question, that is what was the view of the ordinary people towards the king, we have very little information. But what was the order, idea and law of the king that was being implemented, we get to know from the inscription. But ordinary people opinion towards king, we did not get any information through inscription. Now to know about the ordinary people opinion, we have very little, or we can say rare accounts or evidence, because ordinary people, it was not possible for them to keep a record of the account, as because people were not literate and majority of them were illiterate, so it was not possible for them to write the account. Secondly, if they have written anything, the account was not been preserved because they were not having any respect in the society or position in the society. Still, historian had tried to solve this problem, and in order to understand the thought and experience of the common people, historian had examined the story that was contained in anthologies. So anthologies, it means the published collections of poem or any other written sources, that might be the short story, comic. So out here the student, they have mentioned the two anthologies, that is Jatakas and Panchatantra. Jatakas belong to the Buddhist mythology, Panchatantra belong to the Hindu mythology. So early many popular story was said orally, and later it was written. And one such story was Ganda Tindu Jatakas. In this story, it has described the situation of the people, that is how it was being ruled by the king who was wicked, that means who was very cruel king. So in this story, it includes men, women and cultivators, even the village boys, and even animal was also be mentioned in this story. And they were being ruled by a wicked king, and their situation was very bad under him. And in such a situation, the king used to went in disguise, that is he used to change his look, he used to change his get-up as an ordinary people, and he went to the village, mixed up with the village people. What was his main intention in doing this was that he wanted to know that what the people used to think about the king. So there he found that each people used to curse the king for their miseries and problem, and they are even complaining that at night they were being attacked by the robbers, and at daytime they were being attacked by the tax collector that was being sent by the king. So in such a situation, the villagers, what they were doing, they left the village and they went to the forest to live their life. So in this story, it indicates that the relation between the king and the people, especially that was the rural population, was worst, as because the king was increasing the taxes and he was demanding for the high taxes, but in such situation the king in return was not providing any security to the villagers. So the village people, they left the village and they went to the forest for to live their life. So next one is our strategy for increasing productions. So one such strategy to increase the agriculture production was that they used plough for agriculture, as it had because why they used the plough for agriculture was that they were having the fertile land, as because of alluvial river valley in Ganga and Kaveri. That was already we have mentioned in 6th century BC. Due to that fertility of the land, they were using the plough for agriculture. That means they were using the wooden plough for agriculture. Later, they used iron tip plough in the area where they were heavy rainfall. That means from the wooden plough, they moved towards the iron implement, that is iron tip plough. So, in some parts of Ganga Valley, why this iron tip plough was being used? As because it was beneficial, it was useful for digging the land deeply. For that reason, iron tip plough was useful. So, in some part of the Ganga Valley, the production of paddy was increased as they used transplantation by using iron tip ploughing method, and the producer had to work hard for the production, as because why the producer has to work hard, as because for transplantation of the paddy they have to do seed sapling, and after doing seed sapling they have to do water logging. That means they used to log the field with water, as because rice cultivation require large amount of water, then only the production used to increase. So for that the producer had to work hard for the production. So we have seen some area was semi-dry, such as Punjab and Rajasthan, where the iron tip plough was being used from the 20th century. As because this area was dry, by using wooden plough, cultivation was not done deeply. As because if it has been done deeply, the wooden plough would have broken up. So in 20th century they used the method of with the iron tip ploughing. So in hilly area also we have seen agriculture was done, where people used to say, that is most probably north, eastern and central part, they use hoe agriculture. Why? Because hoe was the small garden tools for cultivation, as that was best situated for the area, as it was hilly area and they were having a lot of rocky land was there, it was not level land, so ploughing can't be done, so they were using the hoe agriculture. So we have seen that earlier they were using wooden plough, then they move on to the iron tip plough, and they were using the transplantation process method also, and based on the area they were using the agriculture, like hilly area they were using the hoe agriculture. This shows that there was an increase in knowledge in the agriculture sector. And the most important apart from this was that the strategy they used to increase agriculture production was the irrigation system, such as canal, tank and well, which was been constructed by king and communities that they use for the irrigation production. So this has led to the increase in yield. That means there was increase in production. So when there was increase in production, we have seen that the difference in rural society occurs. So what was the difference? As everyone did not get the profit of agriculture, as it was seen that there emerged different in agriculture production, as because it varies with the different in assets. That is, we have seen different in agriculture because it varies with the different in assets. that some are having a huge land, some are having a very small of holding the land, some are landless. So land, laborers, and some have new technology, such as in Punjab and Rajasthan. If you will see, they use the new technology of that is of iron tipped plowing from the 20th century. Before that, their production was not as much, but after 20th century, their production growth was high. So based on the assets also, the agriculture, in the agriculture sector, it varies the difference. In the countries of northern India, people were divided into three parts. That was the landless agriculture labor, that they were without land, small peasant having small land, large landholder, that means they are having the large land. So out here, the large landholder and the village headman, they were very powerful, as because they were having the large land and they were engaging the landless agriculture labor under them, and they were making them work. So in earlier Sangam text also, it has been mentioned about the category of the people. They were being engaged in agriculture. Based upon their agriculture productivity, they were being categorized, such as the one those who are having large land, that means a large land owner, they were being called as Velara, and the one who used to the plowman, they were called Ujwar, and the slaves, that they were being called as Adi Mai. In the Sangam text, it has been mentioned. Now, out here, the Gahapatis. What does this Gahapati means? Gaha is a Prakrit word from which means house. So, Gahapati, it means the owner and head of the house. So what was his work? His work was function was that he used to control the house and all the resources that belongs in the house. That means he has the right to exercise his control upon women, children, slaves and workers who shared a common residence. So that was Gahapati. So out here what we can see is that the class which can assess the technology, they become wealthier. That means the one who can implement the new technology, they are becoming more wealthier, and the one who can't implement the new technology, they become poorer. So the one implement new technology becoming more richer, and poorer are become more poor. Next one which we will see is that land grant and new rural allies. So land grant was basically done by the ruling allies, that was the king, as it can't be done by the small peasant or landless laborer, isn't it? So the land grant were given to the religious institutions, must be the donate to the temple or to the Brahmins or to Samantas and landless peasant. The one those who are landless, they were donating, giving land to them. So from where we have got this evidence or source, the inscription which was been found in stone and mostly on copper plate gives us a record that who had received the land. That means in that inscription it was already been it was mentioned in clear that who has given the land in grant to whom and how much land in grant that particular person has received. Everything was being written in details in the inscription. Most of the inscription was written in Sanskrit, and some were written in Tamil and Telugu, that was a local language, but basically we will find the records written in Sanskrit. And out there we will see an example of Prabhavati Gupta. Who was she? She was a daughter of Chandragupta II who got married to Vatakas, that is the king who used to stay in Deccan Plateau. So out there, according to the Sangam legal text, in the Sangam legal text, it was been mentioned that the women were not allowed to have independent access to the land after marriage. If suppose a woman was having right in the land, that land belonged to that woman, after marriage she will not have any right upon that land. That land should belong to her husband name or to her son name. However, some inscription was been found where it was been mentioned that Prabhavati Gupta had access to the land, right in the land, and what she was doing, she used to give in grant that land. But according to the Sangam legal text, it was been said that women were not supposed to have any independent access to the land after marriage, but Prabhavati Gupta was having after marriage the independent access in the land, and she was giving that land in grant. Why this happened? A question arises, as because it might be that she is a queen, so for this reason she was having the land and giving donation. Might be for that she was a queen, for that she was having the right to access independent in the land after marriage also. However, the land was donated, was been found in different sites. That means it varies in land size, regional variation in land size we can see, as because some was being given in grant a small size of land, otherwise someone was given a large land in grant. So it varies on the basis of the region. Now a question arises, why this land grant was being done by the rural elites? So for that, the historian has suggested, used to think the reason that some historian used to think that the strategy that was being adopted for the donation of land by the king was to extend or increase the agriculture. Intention in land grant was to increase the agriculture. And whereas some historian used to think that when king used to lose his control over their people, they try to win the allies, or that means they try to win the support of the people. For that reason, they were giving the donation of land to the people. And whereas some has thought, used to think that the king was giving the land in grant to prove themselves powerful. So there was a different point of view, a different reason for giving land in grant that was been suggested by the historians. So till this much, thank you.